I feel like this is like one of those icebreakers you do in high school or college. Like, that's how I feel right now. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I came across a video tag on YouTube the other day, and it is the Booktube Newbie Tag. And I thought, what better way to kind of integrate myself into this community than by doing this tag and getting to know you while you get to know me. So I'm super excited about this, and let's not waste any time. Let's get right into this video. I'm just gonna introduce myself. If you don't know already, my name is Shelby, and I am 25 years old, and I love reading. And the first question we have is, what is unique about this channel? And I actually come from a film background. I went to college and I got a degree in digital media production, and I'm currently looking for jobs in the film industry. But something about me is that I love like plot, I love characters, I love all of that. So one of my lifelong goals is to turn books that I love into movies. So what's unique about this channel is the fact that I kind of want to bring some of that film into Booktube. So I'm going to read books that have been adapted into movies or TV shows, and then I'm going to kind of put my little my sense on it, and compare the two. Like, what did they do well, what did they not do well, what they could have done, and then things that, you know, I liked, things I didn't like. So I think that's something that I don't see all the time, and I wanted to do that on this channel. The next question is, what do you love about reading? And I use reading as a form of escapism. So I just love being able to go into a different world and just feel so happy, you know, trying to escape the chaos that is my life. But also I love, like I said about my film background, I love characters, and I just love when a book is so good that you feel friends with the characters. Like when I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, as you get into the series, you're just like, these are my besties, and I love them. And I love when you just get so into a book that you don't want it to end, and then when it ends, you're like, what am I supposed to do? Like, that was my life. They were my life. And I think that is so amazing about books. And a recent thing that I found that I love about reading is the community. And that's why I'm sitting here and doing this, because I want to talk to other people who have the exact feelings about books that I do. And I mean, I feel like that's why we're all here, but I just can't wait to talk to so many people who are just like me, and I just love that. I love that everyone can come together and like bond over this. The next question is your favorite book. So I actually have three. I have a fantasy, young adult, and then just a romance. So one thing about me, if you know me, this is my book. Like, this is my baby, this is my everything. This is the book that I will tell every single person, like, and their mothers to read, okay? And that is Six of Crows. And this is my special collector's edition, and I just think she's the most beautiful thing in the world. I have 3 copies of this book. 3. I have like an annotated version, I have a normal version, and then I have my special editions. And there's nothing like this book. Like, I have never found anything similar to this. Like, I love the heist, I love the found family, like every single character in this book I love. And people are like, oh, who's your favorite crow? And I'm like, I can't pick one. Like, I love Kaz, I love Nina, I love Inej, I love Jesper, I love Wylan, I love Matthias. Like, there's just so many different like character traits to each of the characters, and like it's hard to just pick one person that you love like the most, you know? And then there's just like, there's a little bit of romance. Like, again, it's YA, so it's not a lot, it's not heavy, but like the romance in here, I treasure so much. Like, I love them, every single one of them. Like, I just love them. And I just want there to be a third book so bad. I don't think we're ever gonna get a third book, but in like I live in a delusion where there'll be a third book. And I hope one day it comes true. But honestly, this is my book. They're my babies. I would do anything for them. Like, I would die for them. If Kaz Brecker told me to jump off a cliff, I would jump off a cliff. And that's all you need to know about me. All right, so the next book I have is a romance, and it's Beach Read. I actually want to do a reread of Beach Read this year, but I haven't read it in so long. But anything by Emily Henry, but this one specifically is one that I just love. I love Gus. Like, there's no man like Gus. And that's all I have to say. But just in general, any Emily Henry romance, like, I will buy like anything that Emily Henry puts out. And everyone's all like, oh, I would buy Emily Henry's grocery list if she released it. And that's true. I would as well. So that's why I wanted to include Beach Read in this. Okay, this one is another one that like I have a very, very strong connection to this series, and that is The Summer I Turned Pretty. This is like such an old like edition of this book, but it's like the one that has all three in one, and I read this when I was younger, and then every summer since I have read it. Like when summer comes around, I'm like, oh, gotta pick up The Summer I Turned Pretty again, and it's just like clockwork, because I don't know what Jenny Han put in this, but like I read this and I just feel so many feelings, like deep in my gut. Like, I love Conrad Fisher, and I will love Conrad Fisher till the day I die, okay? And it's just like, I've read this so many times, and I still feel all of those feelings, like, in certain scenes in this book. Like, the scene in the first book where Conrad is kind of drunk in the car and Belly's in the front, and he just, like, touches her hair. Like, the way she describes it in this book, like, just punches me in the gut, like, in the best way possible. And that's why I love this book so much. And also I kind of relate to it in having like an older brother and being the younger sister kind of sense, where I just wanted to always like hang out with my brother and his friend when like I was younger, and I was like in love with my brother's friend. Yeah. So that's why I like this a lot. It just makes me feel all the feels, because honestly, I too would pine over Conrad Fisher. The next question is challenges you'll have to overcome, and I think it's just talking about this channel in general, and this is something that I feel like applies to all of my social media platforms, and that is just growth in views. I'm someone who, like, I'm working on myself, but I kind of see that number as like just a very heavy thing, and that's something I just need to depart myself from, because I just want to be putting out things that I love, and I love books, and I love talking about them, and I just want to be a part of the community. And I think one of the challenges is, you know, seeing that number and being discouraged. But I think what I'm going to do is just continue to put out content, and if people like me, they like me. If they don't, I'm still going to be here talking about books, because it's something I'm very passionate about. The next question is where I like to read. So you're looking at it. My favorite time of the day is when I get in my PJs, in my sweats, I wash my makeup off all my face, like I'm moisturized, I have fuzzy socks on, and I just get to hop into bed and just read my book for the rest of the night, and then just go to bed. That's my favorite thing, like my favorite time of the day. I also do read on my couch in the living room. There's a ton of beautiful natural light out there, and I just find like when it's, you know, the afternoon or it's the morning, I love reading out there, and those are like my two spots. But I also do love to read in the park when the weather's nice. There's a really cute park by me that I like to go to. When I started reading, I feel like I was really young. Like, my mom has always loved books too, and at one time she worked at a bookstore, so I think seeing her read, I also got super into it. And then it kind of died down a little bit in high school, because I was in advanced English classes, so I had to read, you know, like those classic books for school and do papers or take tests and things like that. So I stopped reading for fun when I was in high school, because I needed to focus on what I was reading for, like, academically. But I picked up reading again when I was a freshman in college, and I'm trying to think of the book that like sparked me kind of getting back into reading. I'm not entirely sure. I think back then I think I wanted to read 13 Reasons Why, because Selena Gomez was producing a show, and I was like, oh, let me read it, because like I love Selena Gomez. And I think like after that I kind of just went to the store, like went to Target, and I read backs of books. I was like, this looks interesting, let me buy it. And then that kind of started me getting back into reading, and I would read when I had free time or when I wasn't reading for classes. And it didn't really start really picking up until I want to say like COVID and when I graduated, because now that I'm graduated, I have a lot more free time to read, and when I was in college, it was hard to read because if I like was studying or if I had to read for a class, like I didn't feel like reading in my free time. But I did read throughout college. It just wasn't as much as I'm reading now. And yeah, I think like I feel like everyone says this, but A Court of Thorns and Roses, I read that when I was in college, but like that was when I truly like was devouring, and I was like, I need to get back into this. And at one point I like completely stopped reading fantasy because I feel like in high school people were like like make fun of you for reading certain books, and fantasy was one of those. So I kind of stopped reading fantasy, and A Court of Thorns and Roses really got me back into it. So yeah, I'm so happy I picked that book up. But yeah, that's my little reading journey. The next is my favorite genre. Ooh, this is a tough one because I feel like it's just, honestly, I have two favorite genres. It's romance and it's fantasy. Put them together, that's a third favorite genre. But I love a good romance and I love fantasy. Honestly, I'm trying to think if fantasy might be my favorite. I've just always been a fantasy girl. Like, I loved like watching fantasy shows when I was younger, like The Winx Club. I count that as a fantasy, okay? I loved watching like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I loved Vampire Diaries. I loved Twilight. Like, I was such a family. Oh, Teen Wolf. Don't get me started on Teen Wolf. But I was such a fantasy lover like growing up. So honestly, is my favorite genre fantasy? It might be. That's actually, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. Fantasy is my favorite genre, but I also love romance, and I love, you know, romantasy. The last question is just kind of to show off your book collection. I did do a video, like my last video that I uploaded was a going through my physical TBR, and that's where I actually show off every single book that I own and how it's organized on my shelves, things like that. So if you guys want to see that, I definitely recommend watching that video. And yeah, that's all of the questions for this tag, and I hope you all got to know me a little bit better, and I hope I get to know you more. I'm so excited to start this journey, and I can't wait to see where it leads. So if you have any other questions or you just want to say hi and we can be besties, comment below, and I will see you all in my next video.